Commissioner Lowe,
Here.
Commissioner Moore,
Here.
and Vice Chair Sawyer.
Here.
All commissioners are present.
Thank you. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before we start, I just want to take this time to thank Carol Kendricks for all her hard work towards this commission. And she's been appointed to the City Council. We'll miss her here, but we're happy for her on a new adventure. Thank you once again, Carol, for all you did for us. Okay. We're gonna move on to 3.0. Madam Secretary, do we have any public comments?
I have no comments.
All right, thank you. 4.0. That's item 4A, presentation, Public Works Director, City Engineer Report.
Thank you, Vice Chair Sawyer. There's not really a full presentation this afternoon for the updates. I just have a few verbal updates to give. We still have a lot of projects ongoing and making good progress. Some of those include the skate park at Gibble, the fiscal year 22-23 slurry seal and street maintenance project, the Hemet Valley Bikeway, and the sewer main replacement. There are some others that are ongoing, and there are always challenges, but they are progressing. The city's consultant, STC Traffic, is in the process of updating our speed surveys citywide. I anticipate these being ready to present to the commission at our next meeting. And we may need to call another meeting in August, so we'll probably be reaching out to get some availability so that we can find a time that everyone's available to meet in August. And then lastly, I've not forgotten about all the future agenda item requests. I just have not had the capacity to have them prepared for this meeting. And on that note, I'm happy to announce that a Deputy Public Works Director, Assistant City Engineer position has been approved. And I'm hopeful that we can get recruiting on this position very quickly. And that concludes my brief updates for this meeting.
Thank you very much. Any comments from commissioners? All right, thank you, Nora. We'll move on to item 5A. This is a discussion item. Consideration of establishing a City of Hemet Veterans Memorial etching policy. Staff report, please.
Yes. This City of Hemet Veterans Memorial Etching Policy was brought to the City Council on July 11th, 2023, where it was approved with an edit and referred to this commission for review and comments. We will be looking to collect your comments on the policy to share back with the City Council.
Okay, it's open for any suggestion. Okay, what I have understood, council already approved. Okay, so my only comment or suggestion is, if needed, it says one of the items that individual must have lived in the city. So do you think we need to specify time lived included, or any time lived will suffice? Then the other one also is stated somewhere that no cost to the city. However, on the page 3 of 5, the policy indicates below bullet points 3 states cost will be supported by the city with a sponsorship option. Could we get some clarity on that?
You know, that part wasn't really anything that I worked on, so I unfortunately don't have the answer to that. But as far as the sponsorship goes, I believe that they would be referring to no cost to the city, meaning that either outside entities or nonprofit groups would be paying the costs involved.
Okay, all right. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Yes, I'd like to get council members' opinion on this. I have a question. We're leaving this on a case-by-case basis to be decided by the mayor. And I would think it should be decided either by this commission or the full council. If there's going to be a discussion at a council meeting, that's one thing. But I just don't think one person should decide who's going to be named and who isn't on the eligibility list. I think it's a little bit too tight there.
I think they have a subcommittee. I think the subcommittee, I think, made the referral to the mayor. I think it's a subcommittee that is formed.
Well, it says a case-by-case basis and then decided upon by the mayor or his or her designee. It doesn't just stop at the committee. That was my question. Maybe the council member could share some light on that. It's at the bottom of page, well, it's 7 on our report, but it's actually 3 of 5 on the policy. And it's the criteria for eligibility. And it's the last sentence. Okay, yeah, I just appreciate it. We went to a lot of hoops to get the memorial years ago, and there was specific criteria. And this just seems like it's rather open to one person's opinion. And I think it should at least be discussed either by this committee or at the council level, most definitely. Yeah. Sorry about that.
Okay, so there is a process first, and it's a lot of it's going to go through the American Legion, because in order to be eligible for this memorial, you have to be honorably discharged or medically discharged. So there's going to be a group at the American Legion that's going to look at most of the well, they'll look at all of the applications that come through. There might be some that go directly to the city, and I'm not positive, but probably the executive assistant will refer those back to the mayor, who is also the commander of the Legion. And then if they come directly from the public, then the American Legion would look at it for the criteria and the eligibility. So the case-by-case basis, it might be very extraordinary, but I can see your point on that you may want to bring in more people, maybe that same group from the Legion for some reason.
I don't have a problem as long as it's just not one person
Yes.
making that decision.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Moore?
Yes, so I believe the council member answered my question. It has to be approved at the subcommittee before it goes to the mayor. Is that the process? Did I get that correct?
Well, it doesn't say that here.
That's
Not sure how rare it would be on a case-by-case basis. I mean, I think it would be extremely.
Yeah.
So,
Well, the reason I raised that issue is because it did come up when we first dedicated the wall. And we brought it back to the entire council and for vetting. And I just think it needs to be, because the bottom line should be the city council. I mean, I understand review by the American Legion, and I don't have any problem with that whatsoever. But it still is the decision it should be the decision of 5 people.
It will be when it gets to that point. It'll be council approved.
But it
So-
doesn't say that. Well, she's not going to be here for the next 50 years, I don't think, on council. I think there's some, but what I'm saying is if you could just discuss it. And I just, it's just from past experience. I see someone that was raising an issue that really wasn't an issue, but they did it publicly. And I just think it's better if it's decided by the entire council. I mean, I don't care if it's a 3-2 vote, but just so it's made, you know, so, yeah, if you would, I'd appreciate it. Okay. Sorry.
Okay. Okay, any more comments? All right, you have those notation, correct? So we're gonna move on to item 5B. Okay, that states review and recommend to city council the adoption of the FI 2023-24 and the FI 2027-28 capital improvement program. Staff report, please.
Yes, I've got a brief presentation on the annual update for the fiscal year 2023, 2024 through 2027, 2028 capital improvement plan. All right, so this is a list of the completed projects that have been closed out and are being removed from the CIP in this year's update. Starting at the top, we have the kitchen upgrades at fire stations 1, 2, and 3, the McSweeney Phase 1 punch list, the 1920 citywide pavement rehab, the 21-22 accessible sidewalks, the 21-22 citywide slurry seal, the 21-22 citywide pavement rehab, the 21-22 SB1 RMRA pavement rehab, the fire training facility, and the NFC fitness court at Mary Henley Park. Those have all been done. They've been removed since the last year's capital improvement program. Some of the modified projects this year's in this year's updates are the State Street water line improvements. This project is progressing in design, and the city is coordinating with EMWD, who needs to install line in the same stretch of roadway. This project seems to have been planned for quite a while, and this is just a matter of increasing the estimated cost. So we're requesting additional funds be allocated to this project. CIP 5627 is for water quality treatment of wells with high nitrate levels. And this project is being requested to basically be postponed. We're going to remove the existing appropriation and we'll reappropriate later. We've reprioritized some other projects that we need to address before that one. On project 5659, we're modified the scope to address some known specific issues. It's not going to go all the way from Kirby to Lyon any longer. It's going to be focused more closer to Lyon. It'll shorten the overall distance. And in today's dollars, we will not need to ask for additional funds, but we will address all the issues in that area. CIP 5676. We received pricing this year to replace one of the modular buildings that was it's actually now been removed, but it was had mold and it was red tagged and had to be closed off, no longer used. We received pricing that was basically double what we have appropriated, so we are requesting to get that additional funding so we can install that. It'd be an accessible conference room, training facility for all the public works staff. CIP 5749, I'm looking to take the existing citywide pavement rehabilitation project with 2.5 million of Measure A funding already appropriated and add an additional 500,000 of Measure A funds and 2 million of general fund dollars that was included in the adopted budget for this fiscal year. This would create a larger project, and I would expect to see an economy of scale and a better value of a project for the city. Get a lot more done under one project. Well, they're starting with new projects that are brand new. We've got the pickleball courts at Gibble Park. This is funded by a state per capita grant fund. It is currently out to bid. We did take the acceptance of the grant to council and we received authorization to go out to bid, but there's been no actual monies appropriated yet. So that's what will happen in this update to the CIP. Next, we have the Simpson Memorial Center facility improvements. This is an ARPA funded project and also specifically approved through council, but I'm adding it here to the capital improvement program. All right, more new projects are the recoding of water tank number 1. This is a critical water system maintenance program project and declared necessary by the most recent inspection of the tank. Next is the water system supervisory control and data acquisition update. The existing hardware and compatible software are becoming obsolete, and this is going to require us to do a system-wide update to all of the sensors or the programmable logic controllers that collect data from all the sensors and basically automate the operation of all the wells and interconnections for the system, keeping all the tanks filled, etc.
Yes,
Want me to wait till you're done or?
It's up to you.
Okay, on the water tank, are we having an outside contractor do that?
Yeah, we take it out to bid and we have
Okay.
a specialized contractor do it along with quality assurance
Okay, good.
company that
Yeah,
watches over
appreciate
that.
that. Okay.
Mhm. Right, next we have CIP to request converting all the streetlights in Sierra Dawn from an existing high voltage system that is inefficient, obsolete, and dangerous in my opinion. But this would update the system to a typical 240 volt LED system. It would require that we replace the SCE electric service, install new wiring in the existing conduits, and install new LED heads on each of the 88 poles.
All right, source of funding.
This will be through the streetlight maintenance district, so
Oh,
it's through the assessment
Okay,
districts.
so we don't have any grants for that?
No, not for that. It'll be, we do have a capital improvement fund within those assessment district budgets, so we'll be able to
But maybe
do it
there
through
was
that.
something because upgrade to LED that there might be available.
Yeah, I mean, there's some specific grants that I guess could be used for that, but I think we have better uses for that. It's
Okay.
like specific allocations for energy efficiency. Mhm. Right, now we have the Auto Mall Street rehabilitation. This will rehab all of the city streets within the Auto Mall. Many of these streets are in very poor condition, and with the importance of the Auto Mall to the city's economy, this is kind of a high priority project. Right, and the remaining 5 projects here are more of like the annual routine projects based on the different funding sources. The first 2 are Measure A projects. The third one is an annual SB1, the Road Maintenance and Rehabilitation Act project. And then we have the sewer and water infrastructure maintenance projects. Some of the requested amounts for the appropriations from these projects are still subject to review as they're being reviewed by finance. Reason for that is that most of these for the Measure A and the SB1 funding, we get projected monthly amounts throughout the year. But as we start the fiscal year, we don't know exactly what that's going to be. So we want to be fairly conservative on those. as we appropriate to the projects. And I also wanted to mention, not shown yet as new projects in this capital improvement update, but we have 2 pedestrian improvement projects that are in the approval process through RCTC and the SB 821 grant, and then also the Community Development Block Grant. So there's going to be 2 of those projects that will be added in the near future.
Another question, sorry. I noticed coming down, let's see, was it Devonshire or Acacia? No, it was Acacia, I think. May have even been Stetson. No, it was Acacia from the post office. Part of the slurry seal and the asphalt that was redone went all the way to the curb without the normal concrete.
mean it-
barrier.
It went over the gutter. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it went over the gutter.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I was kind of curious about that.
Shouldn't do
I've
that.
never seen it that way.
It should
before.
stop at the gutter. Yes,
Yeah, well, it's quite,
We'll
you
take-
might want to take a gander down the,
certainly will. You said Acacia and State?
well, it started actually east of the post office and
Okay.
headed westbound.
That may actually be part of the sewer project is doing it. They did a grind and overlay
Okay.
in that area.
There was
But
no concrete.
Whichever project, we'll definitely take a
Yeah,
look at it.
okay, I was just curious. It surprised me.
Yeah, it should have concrete there.
Well, especially as much as it rains here, so. Huh, okay.
And that concludes my presentation. There are basically a total of 17 updates in this annual CIP update. The total new request of appropriations was right around $14 million. Of course, that's still subject to change a little bit based on those last 5 routine projects that the final allocations.
All right, thanks, Noah. Miss Lu, you have any more comments or questions? Okay, how about you, Mr. Moore?
None of this.
Okay, I have couple, okay, CIP 5923, that's the Warren and Devonshire traffic light.
Yes.
So I know that's been in the works for a while. The cost went up about $1 million. Is that correct?
It had, I think that happened in the last year's update. And unfortunately, the previous consulting company that was doing all the engineering here hasn't provided all of the backup data to me. So I'm going to have to be sending that out to kind of start from scratch, I believe, unfortunately.
Okay, all right, thank you. Then I have okay, CIP 5749. Okay, that's how is it determine what locations are not yet identified? What if some location requires extensive rehabilitation?
When I look at putting that project together, the idea is going to be we have pavement condition data for all the city streets that was collected last summer. And so that's all in our asset management software. And so I'm going to be filtering through that and selecting locations that are in the right condition that can get a grind and overlay before they fall into needing reconstruction.
All right, thank you. Then I have one more. Okay, CIP 5709 and 5749. Okay, that's the general fund. Okay, the general fund and the measure A. Okay, so we have a separate funding mechanism on those for those two because it's the same line item. CIP 5709 and 5749.
Let me take a quick look. Those are 2 separate projects, so it shouldn't be the same. Are you looking at the summary or the funding by funding source?
Yeah,
or-
the funding source.
Okay.
Because I think one is from the general fund and one is from Measure A.
Right, so there'd be two separate lines for 5749 because I'm looking to add the additional money, dollars from the general fund that was allocated in the budget into the same project, but do it all together so that we get the economy of scale of doing a larger project all at once rather than splitting them up.
And from the general fund, that was about 2 million, you said?
That's correct,
Okay,
yes.
all right. All right. Thank you. Okay. All right. No more questions for me. So, yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Sorry,
Mhm.
we have a grant writer working in the city now.
We are using California Consulting as a consulting grant writer at this time. And we have applied for a couple in the last month.
Anything from RCTC?
That was the SB 821 grant that they're recommending, one of the two projects that we submitted for approval.
Okay. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to item 5C. That is review and approve the proposed street name Walden Weaver Road. Proposed to replace a duplicate Stetson Avenue and amend this name to street names for inclusion on track map 35392. Staff report, please.
Real quick, if we could go back, I think we need to get a vote on the previous item.
Okay.
I
on the-
recommend, yeah.
Okay, okay, sorry about that. Okay, can I have a motion to approve the presentation
So moved.
for the, yes, okay. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, 4. Thank you.
All right, so report on item 5C. You're probably all thinking, why are we seeing street names for tract 35392 again? Well, the offsite improvements for this tract includes building a portion of what was called Stetson Avenue, but it would diverge from the existing Stetson Avenue, as shown in the attached exhibit. This name is also included this way in the city's general plan and in other recorded maps along its proposed route. Regardless, this tract is the first to actually build a part of this road, so we must fix it now before we have a real safety issue. So in accordance with the Hemet Municipal Code, the interim building official has sent this request to all the departments and obtained concurrence to make the recommendation to name this street Walden Weaver Road. This is an existing there is an existing Walden Weaver Road located to the north of existing Stetson Avenue on the other side of the railroad and drainage channel that follows the same general alignment. So that's kind of where this name came from. And that's the recommended is to name the rest of that what was Stetson Avenue, or it was often referred to as New Stetson, but I guess it was never officially named that. And so now we're here to fix that.
Commissioner Lowe?
I'd like to say that I appreciate the fact you left some historical value in the name, because it seems that we're getting so much new development that we're forgetting some roots of our founders, and I really appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah.
No, if I understand correct, that these improvements need to be made for safety reasons. Is that what you said?
Right. Yeah. For instance, if we had two streets named Stetson and, public safety got a call for service, they wouldn't really know which Stetson to go to. So that's kind of the main issue as far as having the two different Stetson avenues.
Like for police or fire, if they go to emergency,
Right.
they may go to the wrong street.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Anderson, any comments? Okay, so before I call for the motion, I just want to make this to me make sense, okay, but I'm just curious, how did we come up with the Walden Weaver that was suggested?
There is an existing road named Walden Weaver Road, and it follows kind of the same alignment to the north of existing Stetson. And so we kind of, as it comes down and comes and hits the existing Stetson, it would kind of be on the other side of the railroad tracks and the drainage channel. but it then goes in kind of the same direction. So it would just be a continuation of that.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, with that said, can I have a motion to accept the proposal? Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, 4-0, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, so item 6, do we have any future agenda items? Yeah, yes, Commissioner Low?
We had discussed some, I don't know what you'd call them exactly. Anyway, industrial buildings and so forth. And I don't know if anybody else has been contacted, but I understand they're kind of anxious to get started on some of the decisions that we have to make. And I'm wondering if they're going to be brought forward on our next agenda, or are we going to wait another couple months, or what's the time frame with that?
I think the true question would have to come from planning, but I do believe it's their intent. It is now an applicant driven general plan amendment.
Mhm.
So I believe that they would plan on bringing that back to the commission as soon as possible.
Okay, for full disclosure, I have met with Bill Blankenship and also Greg. I can't remember his name.
Jeremy?
Jeremy, I'm sorry. Sorry, Jeremy. But I think they have addressed our concern about Kirby on the one project, and then the other one is where that triangle is off of where you make a U-veer right there at the end of Acacia onto Florida with the eucalyptus trees that sometimes of the year catch fire, other times it's home to some people next to the Lakes Mobile Home Park. And I've been contacted by several people in the Lakes. They'd like to see the area cleaned up. They appreciate that. They just don't want it to turn into a Winco parking lot with people hanging out. That's one of the concerns they had. And I know that I just briefly, maybe 3 minutes, met with the people that are developing it at the WRCOG annual meeting. And I know that they're anxious to move forward because they have businesses that want to come to the Valley with employment. And so I hope that they can contact you and let's get on with this, and we can see the projects and make our decisions too. So I don't hope, are we going to start meeting monthly?
That is a recommendation,
Okay,
but
thank you.
it's not official yet. I think we're going to hopefully wait until we have any other commissioners appointed to replace Commissioner Hendrick that left, and or Kendrick, yeah.
Was it Linda's appointment? Let's get her moving. Because it seems like it's either feast or famine. And it just seems like there's a lot of interest in our valley now economically. And if they bring jobs, I think we need to pay attention. Stay within the parameters, of course, that we want, but I think we need to hear them and move on. Yeah, so.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Low. Okay, 7.0. Okay, so I know, Noah, you stated we may have an August meeting. So that one gonna depend whether we have that or it's gonna be next meeting in September.
I'd definitely like to get some availability in August, because there's a need to have a meeting.
Could you shoot some dates? And it's not good for me.
That would be like August, last Monday would be August the 28th.
I'll be traveling.
What about the 21st?
20,
Fine with me.
August 21st works.
I would have to check because I think I have a conflict on that day, but I'll check. I'll confirm with you. Okay, on the 21st. Okay, is there a backup date just in case?
It would probably, we'd have to really do some more research to find out, make sure that like the speed survey is ready for presentation and coordinate like when this room would be available as well.
Okay, I get with you the 21st, right? Okay,
Kind of
Alright.
put a pencil in that and
Right.
we'll wait to hear from you. and-
okay, thank you. Okay, if there are no more items of discussion, then this meeting is adjourned at 4:37.
Question.
Yes,
Okay, if we have, if council member Rupa, I guess would be, gets her appointee approved by council. I don't know, I guess she has to do that. I don't know that she does or not, but can we move forward? I mean, we've got a lot of people hanging out there and this economy is kind of, we haven't had any for a while. And I wondered if there'd be objection to, we have a majority now. And if we have 3, that's a majority. It's no different than any other meeting. So I'm just, if we can find a date that's acceptable to all
absolutely.
of us, that would be great.
Yeah, even if we don't have a 5th commissioner, we would still look to have,
Okay.
schedule that meeting in August as well. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
any more final comments? Okay, so I'm a re-adjourn the meeting at 4:38. All right, thank you.